Greetings, YouTube fam. Welcome back to my channel. If this is your first time here, then welcome. My name is Nicole, as you well know, and today is your Motivational Monday. I'm super excited because I have a very special guest today, Prophet BK. Berwin is a very good friend of mine, and we have been working together for quite some time. He's a very gifted prophet, and today we wanted to go over what are the issues that we think is most pressing, and in order to fulfill our purpose and to get to the places that we want to go, we need to heal first, because we cannot function past our pain. And so today's topic is exactly that. It is healing childhood trauma. Prophet BK. Everybody give him a welcome. Prophet BK.
Hello everyone, I'm Prophet BK. It's good to be here.
Give the viewers a little bit of background so they know who they're talking to.
Well, my name is Prophet BK. I am also an intuitive tarot card reader, intuitive healer, and a life coach. I've been doing this professionally for 5 years, but flowing prophetically since I was 16 or 17. So my readings are a little different because I do follow the tarot, but in there, God usually begins to download and speak a prophetic word to kind of fine tune what it is that He's trying to share through the tarot. So the tarot cards are just really a tool that I use to kind of open up the gateway for God to come in and really begin to shift and transform things. And that's what my whole purpose and mission is to see lives transform from the inside out.
Beautiful, beautiful. I think that's all of our job as healers and teachers, is to teach and to heal, and to do that through divine source and be an open channel for that to come through. And so today our topic is healing childhood trauma. And I asked Prophet BK, what, in sitting down, what do we want to address today? What would be the most pressing thing to talk to everybody about and motivate them about on this Monday? And Prophet BK said healing childhood trauma. And so why is healing childhood trauma one of the #1 topics that you wanted to address?
Well, actually, just what I just heard was childhood trauma is one of the biggest obstacles that really stop people from fulfilling their potential. Because of the triggers and because of the pain that they haven't allowed themselves to heal from, they can't be present and they can't be fully who they're supposed to be in this time, because they're still hurting from the person that was wounded in their childhood.
Whoa.
And that just came to me like
that's heavy.
Yeah, that and I feel like that's really the whole, what's the word I'm looking for? That's really like the blockage that keeps a lot of people from fulfilling their potential, is the childhood trauma. And then you keep getting triggers as an adult, but you don't really recognize it as, oh, this is from when I was this, or I got this from here. A lot of people that have self-esteem issues. A lot of your self-esteem issues came from things that someone told you in your childhood. And now as an adult, you're thinking, oh, I just have bad self-esteem. No, it was a seed that was planted somewhere in your younger years. And now it's a repetitive cycle that's in your subconscious mind that just keeps playing over and over and over. And until you go back and identify it, become conscious of it, acknowledge it, and be aware of it, and then go back and allow yourself to heal yourself from it, and then change that record player to a positive affirmation, you're still going to be stuck in that cycle. So for myself personally, where I'm at now, and I know coming up into 2020, a lot of people are being dealt with about their soul issues, their childhood trauma, and their pain. Because once we hit 2020, we're going to hit the ground running. Like, Spirit has so much prepared for us in 2020, but a lot of people won't be able to keep up with what Spirit is telling them because they haven't dealt with that pain from the past.
Okay, that's making perfect sense. Okay, so why don't we recognize it as childhood trauma?
One of the things I think is because our society has been kind of, what's the word I want to use? Not dumbed down. We are, what's the word? null, void.
Desensitized?
Desensitized.
Okay.
We are desensitized to pain. And we spend so much time trying to find joy and happiness outside of ourselves that we don't realize, number one, that it is trauma, that it is some pain from our past. And then two, a lot of people have this misconception that to get counseling, to go see a psychiatrist or a therapist, that the only people that do that are people that are crazy. For me, it was an eye-opener probably about 10, 15 years ago. I was watching a reality show, Tia and Tamara. And I noticed one of the sisters went to a therapist and one of the sisters went to a life coach. And then I watched the Braxton's Family Values, and the whole family was going to a therapist. And I was like, wait a minute. So it kind of clicked. I noticed people with money, it doesn't seem abnormal for them to go get therapy. But those who don't really have the money to see a therapist, they always have this mindset of, oh, that's for people that's crazy. So I think a lot of it has to do with just society, financial status, and people that do have these triggers, they've been so used to numbing it through alcohol, through drugs, that they just think it's just something that they just have to deal with, and they just keep numbing it and numbing the pain and not sitting with it and saying, okay, what is this really about? Why is this happening to me? Why am I feeling this way? And I know for myself personally, it came through me watching those television shows and just my own spiritual path and my own journey where I started realizing that these are traumas from my childhood. I knew that.
Yeah.
But I didn't want to deal with it.
Did you ever feel like, well, I'm a grown man now, it's silly for me to still have an issue with something from my childhood?
Yes.
Okay.
As a matter of fact, I wanted to know why it was there when I was being used. I was helping other people. I'm doing prophetic words, readings. Back in the church days, I was on the prayer team. I was on the praise and worship team, and I was flowing in my gift. Everybody was like, "Oh, you're gifted, you're powerful," and I was riding on that wave and that energy of my gift. But at the end of the day, when I sat down in the dark and was alone, I had to deal with my pain. And I was afraid to deal with my pain because I didn't know who I was going to become once I got rid of that pain. Because a lot of people carry on to that childhood trauma and that pain too because it has become their identity. And they have identified themselves as pain. And if you even want to poke it and talk about let's heal this, it's a baby that they've carried so long and they've nursed it. They don't know who they're going to be once they get rid of that pain. I have a best friend that passed away a couple years ago, and he had sickle cell. And his parents were going to allow him to take the surgery where they were going to do something to the stem cells and it would, cure the situation.
Yeah.
And it hurt me so bad because he was 24 at the time. And the first thing he said was, I would not know what to do or how to feel without pain. He's lived with sickle cell for 24 years. That pain that's all he's identified. His fear was not, is the surgery going to work? His fear was not, how am I going to recover?
Was, who am I going to be without this pain?
Well, he didn't even know how he would feel without waking up in the morning and feeling pain.
So because he was so familiar with what that life was,
it became his identity.
He kind of wanted to hold on to it just because I know who this person is. I know how to be this person in pain every single day.
Right.
Once I'm healed and I'm no longer in pain, now what do I do? Now who am I? And so your whole life changes because now you're no longer in pain. So that's not your reason anymore for staying in. That's not your reason anymore for not being engaged in life. That's not your reason anymore for going after your dreams. Now you have to be held accountable for going after your dreams and living your life and living your goals. And who am I going to be now?
The Bible says, to whom much is given, much is required.
So
So the more that you learn, the more you're held accountable for. Because now you are held accountable for your actions. And even your conscious and your subconscious mind deals with you. When you're aware of something and you're conscious of something that you know that you need to deal with, that's the voice of God in your consciousness and your subconscious mind saying, don't do that. You need to deal with that. You can't keep being this way because you already know this is an incorrect behavior and you have had an excuse all your life because, oh, this is why, and this is why, this is why. Now, I really feel like there comes a point in our life where we hit a certain age where we have to realize I am responsible for my life. I am responsible for my happiness. And even though, I'm a prime example, went through a lot of childhood trauma, pain, saw domestic violence, all this growing up as a kid, alcohol abuse, drug abuse, both sides of my family. I got to a point in my life where I was like, that's the past. And I'm still hurting because of it, but now I'm responsible. I have to be accountable. I'm responsible for my happiness. I'm responsible for allowing myself to heal from this so that I can go on and be who I'm supposed to be. I had to make that decision for myself. So one of the first things I had to do was acknowledge it and say, I'm jacked up. I used another word, but I'm jacked up and I need to deal with this.
Okay, so let's go back. Let's go back to, oh, it's so much. It's so much. Like, oh, everything is clicking. And so I'm seeing now how people have gotten very comfortable with the victim. Not even so much because it's comfortable, but because it's familiar. So if I stay this victim, I know who this victim is. I know how to be that. If I'm no longer the victim, then who do I get to be? And so that's the door of the unknown. And the unknown, I think, is always a scary place for people because it's unknown. You have no idea what's ahead of you. But I think also that's a part of programming. Right? To fear what we don't know, to fear the unknown, because you don't know what's going to happen. It could be bad. It could be dangerous. All hell could break loose. Yeah, it could. But it also, the unknown also is anything is possible, meaning that it could turn out more beautiful than you ever imagined. You can just get some surprises that you never imagined.
True.
You see what I'm saying? Like, it could work out so good for you and be like, damn, never in a million years would I think my life would turn out this good. But I walked into a path that was unknown to me and I was open for this to come. So walking into the unknown is just, it's inevitable. You have to be open.
And well, that's where transformation always begins. When you walk into the unknown, everything is birthed in darkness.
Amen.
So when you walk into that unknown, you're walking into that place of darkness where you don't know which way to go, what step to take. That's why in the Bible it talks about being transformed by the renewing of your mind. So once you start this path of walking into the unknown, you have to start transforming your mind into a place of, I have faith. Not only faith in God, but faith in yourself. Because God is within us. He is God within.
Come on now.
So you stepping into this dark place of unknown, dealing with some pain, dealing with some trauma. And does it hurt? Yes. And I think that as a society, we don't like pain.
Fear of pain. That's why we don't address it. Okay, let's go back. Let's go back to the signs.
Okay,
all right.
Signs.
What are the signs of childhood trauma? So how would a person know, oh, these are issues from my childhood?
First, you have an intuitive knowing. Everybody, intuition leads them along this path called life. So you get an inner knowing in your gut. Then you start having things that are triggers, even far down as minute as your friendships. I've had some friendships that I broke off because I realized they carried the energy of certain people in my past. And when I saw it, it made me afraid and it pissed me off because I was like, so I'm still afraid of that person? Or when I got around that person, I would feel like I used to feel around that person from my younger days, and I would get very passive. And everybody knows I'm not passive at all. I'm very aggressive, and I speak my mind. But I would notice around certain energies that I would become more passive, I would be a little bit more submissive, and I would kind of go into this childlike state of mind where I would just kind of get mute. And when I started noticing it, I would escape that person or end the friendship because I'm like, okay, you triggering this, you remind me of so-and-so, and yeah, I don't like that. But then it came a place where I had to say, okay, this is a trigger. That means I need to deal with this because I'm still holding on to this pain from what either experience that I had with this person or anything of that nature in my present. So people will come along. The universe will send people to help trigger you, to let you know what triggers and what pain you need to heal from. Because until you allow yourself to be healed and be whole, you can't really go out there into the world and cause a positive effect in other people's lives, because everything that you touch carries the energy of who you are from within. So if you have a lot of broken people trying to heal broken people, we're just going to keep reproducing the same thing. In the Bible, it talks about the anointing of Aaron, and it talks about how the anointing comes from the head down to the rest of the body. So as we as leaders and light workers, if we're out here and we're not acknowledging, doing the work, trying to allow ourselves to be healed from this, and we out here trying to do readings and do energy healing and do Reiki, we're still spewing the same thing on everybody else. So we have a whole bunch of people running around in chicken coop, not healed from their trauma. So my question to you would be, are you ready to heal? Are you ready to deal, and are you ready to do the work? So triggers will come through friendships, through relationships, through friends, and especially the biggest one, family.
Oh.
Family will trigger you.
Will trigger the... Well, nobody trigger you like a family member.
Even dreams. For me, a lot of my triggers, I realized from my childhood trauma came in dreams.
Yeah.
And in the dream, it was an experience that I may have experienced in my childhood. And in the dream, as I got more mature, I dealt differently with the person in the dream.
Wow.
And I asked a friend, you know, that was a light worker, and I was telling them about the dream. And I said, but it was different because this time I actually stood up to the person. Or this time, like, I tried to stab him with a knife. Like, whereas before I would run and hide and different things in those dreams. But as I matured, I started fighting back. And they said you're conquering, you're overcoming that fear. So your dreams will show you some of the trauma and the triggers that you need to heal.
So triggers then are an indicator of what needs to be healed.
Right.
So anytime you find yourself being triggered by something, you have to first, I think, ask yourself, why does that bother me? Why does that piss me off? Okay, this person is an asshole. Maybe it's true they're an asshole, but why are you so bothered by them being an asshole? What makes it get under your skin that you're so, you know what I'm saying, ready to just, why does it bother you like that? So triggers are an indicator of something that needs to be healed. Okay, what else would be an indicator?
Repeating cycles. What's like a repeating? I'm gonna use my own self as an example.
Okay.
When it came to date and relationships, I had a repetitive cycle that I kept dating the same type of person. And the reason I kept dating the same type of person was because somewhere in my childhood, someone told me I wasn't worth it. I wasn't worthy. I didn't deserve to be loved. So I kept attracting people that was treating me how I felt and was living as I was on that frequency of not fully. And of course, you know, people will see you and you smiling. You have a lot of friends. You seem popular. But when you go home at night, they don't see the real you when you close that door and you're at home. And when I would go home, the popular person everybody saw in high school, junior high school, that's not who I was when I got home. So in my adult life, I started seeing this repetitive cycle of me dating the same type of person. And then I had to realize, okay, where did this come from? And a lot of it came from childhood and the relationships that I saw mirrored in my personal life. Parents, your parents' relationship is one of the most impressive relationships in your life. Because I think they said from the time you're born to this at 5, that the love and the different things that are imprinted on your subconscious mind last with you for the rest of your life. I think it's from 5 until like 7 or 8.
That first cycle,
those
7.
Different cycles, yeah. So a lot of what I went through, I kept noticing in the relationship, it was a repetitive cycle. And so finally I was like, okay, I need to deal with this because I'm not going to keep dealing with this type of person in a relationship. So I had to allow myself to sit with it and say, and it was funny because some of it I found through friendships, because I had friends that I was so close to, the bond was so close that when things would start to kind of go disarray, I would start crying or I would get angry. And one day I got so upset with a friend of mine that I broke down in my room by myself and I started crying and shaking. And I was mad because I was like, am I this mad over a friendship? And then I sat there and said, why? What is this? And I said, this is the same cycle that I've been on since I started dating when I was 15, 16, 17. It was the same cycle. And finally I had to sit there and say, it's because that little boy in me was still hurt. I had to be honest with myself and say, I'm still trying to find love from when I was 5, when I was 6. And not that my parents didn't love me, but one thing we have to also understand too, as we're growing up, our parents have childhood trauma that they may not have healed from. So they loved you the best that they could for their ability where they were at in their life with the trauma and the pain that they had already present in their life. So there were certain things that I experienced, and I'm not putting the blame on nobody, but there was things I experienced that was still hurting me. And I was like, I'm trying to still find that place in me that needed that love. So I had to break that repetitive cycle of having friendships and relationships with the same type of energy of me not being worth it, not knowing my voice, not how to speak up for myself, not how to put my foot down. And that's funny because all my friends see me as the strong person, but in personal relationships, when I date somebody, I'm a totally different person. I was so passive. I would let stuff go. I would keep going and then finally one day I was like, fuck this.
Right.
And the person that everybody saw in the streets came into my relationships, and then they were like, wait a minute, I don't know this person. Because this bitch is just, the phoenix has risen, nigga, and I am ready to roar.
Okay. I know that feeling. I know this feeling all too well, and I know y'all know it too.
Y'all know it.
So you had to, as your whatever was going on with you kept mirroring, kept showing up in these people. So you finally said, it can't be everybody. It's got to be me. It's something that I am doing. And so at that point, you were able to then heal it, turn it around, change your cycle.
Right. But I had to change me.
You had to change that thing within you.
In me.
So when you shift the energy in you, what happened with your relationships?
They either couldn't stay around me, or I would cut them off and cut them off. Because I would cut people off at times, but I would still keep their phone number. And then 6 months down the line, I'm like, I really miss this person. I want to check on them. Well, I'm going to do the godly thing and be so nice and loving. I'm just going to text them and say, hey, just thinking about you. How are you doing?
Hey, big head.
Yeah, that text message, there, she talking right there. So what I started doing was, I just started deleting their phone numbers.
Just cold.
I learned, my cutoff game is so strong now at 44, but now in my 20s and my early 30s, I could not cut people off because I always wanted to, the umbilical cord is still there. So I didn't want to, I wanted to heal, but I didn't want to completely release them because they may need me one day. That was the excuse that I gave myself.
Well, really it was, I might need them one day.
Because they were pacifying the pain. Mm-hmm. And I didn't want to really let it go at that time. But then when I got sick and tired of being sick and tired, then I was like, okay, I'm done.
Mm-hmm. What about, what's another sign that people are experiencing childhood trauma?
Feeling like they're cursed and nothing is prospering. Mm-hmm. Now some of it, and when it comes down to curses, I feel like a lot of curses are just passed down thoughts, processes from family members. That's what I don't think curses is like this big old, somebody put a curse on your family. They was brewing in this pot and they threw this water on your front porch and put a chicken bone at the back door. A lot of curses are through thought processes. Mm-hmm. They're repetitive cycle thoughts that was passed down from childhood.
Absolutely. I call it BS.
BS.
I call it, but BS being belief system.
I thought you was talking about
belief system. But a lot of the belief systems are bullshit.
Oh, they are.
And so that's why it's not working. So,
but you know what's even funny about that? People have belief systems and don't even know why they believe what they believe.
Exactly.
They just believe it because that's what was told to them.
Because they were programmed and that's how they were told.
That's how they function, like robots.
Right.
But that goes back to what we talked about earlier. Going to see a therapist.
Right.
We sometimes of this persuasion thought, oh, they're going to see a therapist. They crazy. They on that medicine. Oh,
yeah.
No. We all need a little therapy here and there.
We all need to go into the subconscious and find out what the BS is. Find out what the belief systems are. Find out which ones are not working. Delete those and download new belief systems, new programs that actually work and serve your well-being, right? And serve you in a way that is fulfilling.
Right.
Serve you in a way that is adding to your creativity.
Right.
Okay. So we have triggers, we have repeating cycles, and we have curses or feeling cursed or feeling stuck, right? Because of your BS.
Yes.
Your belief system.
Your belief system and the other BS that comes with the belief system.
The BS of the BS.
Okay.
Okay? Put your boots on. Stepping some shit around here. Okay, so how do we heal? How do we heal those things? I know we talked about it a little bit about going into your subconscious and and taking inventory on what's there and pulling it out, but explain the steps of healing.
Okay, the first step I feel, is acknowledging that there is an issue, that there is some pain that you need to heal. Once you
just come up off it, like just admit it. Like,
yeah. And sometimes you got to look yourself in the mirror, because I used to have to talk to myself and be like, "You jacked up. It came from such and such. Deal with it." And when you can look your own self in the mirror and look in your own two eyes, that is the most powerful feeling, because it's like you're taking your power back.
Absolutely.
So I had to acknowledge that there was a problem, and then I had to sit with it, because I was explaining to Christian earlier today when we was in conversation. When you come into this light worker field and New Age, New Thought, whatever they call it, I just call it a spiritual journey. They always talk about positive energy and high vibration, which is affirmations. Those things work. They do work. But sometimes it will be a little black. But like I said earlier, it's in that darkness where things is birthed. So it's not always going to be peaches and cream. It's not always going to be butterflies and fairies and dandelions and unicorns. And that's when you have to know that within you is the God essence to walk you through whatever this pain and this trauma that you have to allow yourself to heal from. So first you have to acknowledge it. Then second, you have to sit with yourself and be honest with it and look the pain in the face and say, I'm going to deal with you. You have to be honest and just say, look, I'm not going through this no more. I'm tired.
So you have to just confront it.
Confront it.
Stop running from it. Turn around and just confront it. Face to face, eye to eye. I'm no longer running from you. I'm no longer hiding from you. I'm going to admit it and I'm going to address it. Like, no more being bullied. You know, I saw a post the other day and it said, there ain't no healing in hiding. That's where it thrives. It thrives in hiding. There's no healing in there. You have to expose it to the light.
You have to. Well, that's all the part of being a light worker.
Yeah. Light, hence the word.
Okay.
Light worker. We're going to work the light, baby.
Okay, and the light got to be working you first.
The light has to be working you first.
So once you acknowledge it and you admit it and you start working towards that path of, the next step is definitely doing something about it. If you can't handle it on your own. Now, it depends on where you're at in your spiritual journey, I feel. As well known as I am, as powerful as I even think I am, I had to go see a therapist. And what was funny was my therapist was telling me things that I tell my clients. And I kind of sit there like, and it was like Spirit was saying, yeah, practice what you preach. So I had to face that I was able to intuitively give other people powerful information to help change their life, but I wasn't practicing the principles myself. Right. I was still allowing myself to stay in my pain and not do the things that I was telling. And sometimes when I do my sessions, I'll tell people stuff and I had to write down some of it because I'll be like, I think this was for me. This is a little powerful. This hit home. This was for me. That's why the Bible calls the Word of God is like a two-edged sword. So as you're cutting that person and you're helping, transform their soul and remove the blockages, at the same time the sword is cutting you as well.
Absolutely.
So we're all iron sharpening iron. Two-edged sword is going to be an effect of both you changing, transforming your life, transforming your thought processes, changing how you speak about yourself, how you think about yourself, because that is probably the biggest problem that we have. We have the most self-negative talk that I've ever, and we tell on ourselves through conversation. Yeah. My best friend was here this weekend, and Dominique, I kept saying like I'm fat. I said I'm not wearing that. My belly look big, and she's like, "Boy, you fine." Like, and she said, "Wait a minute, do you always talk to yourself like this?" And I was like, and then I realized sometimes when I do get dressed, I will change clothes 3 or 4 times because I find something negative on every outfit. To finally, I just be like, okay, I'm gonna just put this on and they don't like it, they just don't like it.
Yeah.
But I never really looked in the mirror and said, okay, yeah, my stomach's a little full, but hey, I like it. I love this is me, this is my stomach. Yeah. I have this negative talk in my head when I look in the mirror.
So it's about being conscious then. For one, even recognizing that you're doing it. So catching yourself and your negative talk, catching yourself in negative thoughts, catching yourself, like being aware, just being aware of your own stuff.
But that comes back with sitting with yourself.
So you have to sit with yourself and then on a daily basis practice being conscious of your behavior. Practice being conscious of your self-talk. Practice being conscious of your body language and how you carry yourself, and just in general. I always I just was on a video conference the other day, and this beautiful soul named Noble Jules was saying that people always think that knowledge is power, but knowledge is not power. Applied knowledge is power. So when you know something, okay, and you are aware of it, and you apply the knowledge that you have, then it becomes powerful. It becomes a tool that you are actually using. I always say the hammer is not going to build the house. It's not going to build the house. It's not going to drive the nails into the wood. You're going to have to pick those tools up and actually use them in order for you to build anything. And so that's it. Being aware and using the tools that you have. Okay.
And then doing the work.
And doing the work.
And also another thing I've learned in my path is when you're triggered, or when you start seeing the areas of trauma that you need to deal with, always know everything is in divine order. Spirit would not allow things to crop up if Spirit knows that you're not ready to really deal with it. And that's something I learned early in my growth, in my childhood, on my spiritual journey, especially being in the church, that the Holy Spirit orchestrates every unique part of our life to the very intricate things of our heart. So the Holy Spirit knows when you're ready to deal with something. The Holy Spirit knows when you're not ready to deal with it, and He will not confront you with it, because you're not going to. God is here to evolve us, not break us, not kill us. So He knows the right timing to bring what trauma. And then, like I said, sometimes it'll hurt, but He knows the right timing, because He knows where we are elevated in our walk with Him, that we're ready to actually deal with it. So always trust and know that if the trauma comes, just know that you have a whole team in Spirit that came with you when you came here to this earth to walk with you through that purpose, to walk through that pain. And sometimes you may feel like they're not there, but you will get moments in time, and I've experienced it, where I was hurting so bad, and then I would get a voice, or I would hear a word where my ancestors sometimes would be like, we were here all the time just waiting for you to ask for our help. And I would kind of be like, wait a minute, huh? Like, yeah, when you went through this, you feel, we was there. When you went through this, and I'm sitting there like, dang, I didn't utilize y'all. I just kind of, because we don't ask for the help.
Because we feel alone. So you're realizing that I'm not alone. There is something outside of myself, or what seems to be outside of myself. Something that is within me at all times, that I can access at all times to assist me in ways, even if I don't even know what assistance I need. Right? So to just ask, I need help, and I don't even know what I need help with. Help me see what I need help with. If it's asking the questions and you don't know what to ask, help me know what to ask. I mean, be simple. I had to break it down to a toddler, to a toddler's understanding.
Right.
I mean, that's how far back I had to go with certain things to make it clear and plain and evident. And I had to be very patient with myself through that process too. And understanding that just because it's hard, just because something is heavy, doesn't mean that you can't do it. Doesn't mean you can't carry it. It just means you're going to have to muster up the strength that you have within you. So that's going to be a part of doing the work. And doing the work, what are some other things that people can, what does doing the work mean? Because I know people hear that all the time, like, do the work, what's the work?
That is a good question. Because to me, what doing the work is basically having that relationship with God and your ancestors and your spirit guides, and meditate and discipline yourself to meditate, and make sure you're doing the things on your end to keep the channel clear.
Yeah.
Even if it's doing a spiritual bath once a week, or doing full moon rituals, or writing down your intentions and writing down your prayers, or like I was saying before, asking your spirit guides and asking your angels and your archangels and your hierarchy and all those to help you, to give you the vision, to show you what to do. I think doing the work is basically just building that relationship within spirit, and then going to counseling if you need to, going to a therapist, going to an intuitive healer, getting readings. I know so many people get so many readings and they never do. And then I have people come to me asking me the same question they asked me a year ago. And I'm like, and I have a notebook of the stuff that I write down. And I say, well, have you done this yet? Or a lot of my sessions, I write down the instructions and I give it to them and I date it. And then when they come back and I pull out your sheet from 6 months ago. Okay, what was the first thing Spirit said on there? So sometimes you got to go back and do your first works all over again. So
okay.
sometimes you get instructions from Spirit and you don't even do that one thing he tells you, but you're ready to go to step 4, 5, and 6, but you still ain't did step 1.
And I think, what do you think about like timelines? I think people try to rush the process. I think people try to hurry up and heal. Can we hurry up and do this? Wait, what do you have to add about timelines?
What is timelines?
What is timelines in
What
healing?
is timelines? What are we in such a rush for? If we are eternal beings, we not going nowhere. We have many lifetimes to learn a lot of these lessons. So my question is, why rush the process? I'm trying to juice it for everything I can get out of it.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to have to deal with that pain again. So a lot of times when you try to rush through it, you don't really get the full experience or the full lesson that you were supposed to learn from that experience.
Right.
And I think a lot of people, I think timeline is a lot of BS and that belief system.
The other BS.
The other BS.
But I feel like with timelines, is people wanting to rush the healing. It's a process. And you have to give yourself some grace, some patience. You have to exercise some patience and allow this stuff to heal. And allow it to take as long as it needs to take to heal. The baby will be birthed when it's time. There's nothing more you can do about it. You can rush it and have something be born prematurely when it's not yet ready and it can't yet survive on its own or thrive on its own. So allow yourself to completely heal. Allow these wounds to completely heal. It took a long time for them to evolve into the place where they are, and it may take some time for them to heal. So give yourself that and just know that once you are healed, you can move forward in your life in full capacity. And you are no longer functioning, halfway functioning in your life in pain. Now you can thrive in your creativity and you can add to life instead of take away from life. And so I want to close this out by asking BK, Prophet BK, where we can find him, because we want to hear more from you. And also I want to pull a couple of cards just to leave y'all with a couple of words, because y'all know y'all love a good card.
Okay.
Y'all love a card.
A good card every now and then is good for you. You can find me on Facebook, Berwin Kemp. You can also reach me through my website, which is prophetbk.com, or my Instagram, which is also Berwin Kemp. Or should I give the people my phone number?
Don't give the people your phone number.
Yeah, well, I don't want to give them my phone number.
Do you usually give out your phone number?
I used to, but you get some cools when you give out your phone number. No. But I am working on my YouTube channel, so I will be on YouTube soon, so you make sure you look for me there.
And I will put all of Berwin's information, Prophet BK's information in the description box below so that you all can contact him. He does offer, what do you offer?
Readings, life coaching. Can you tell the prices on here, or are you not supposed to do that kind of stuff? Okay, so
you can, but you might want to change it up.
I do intuitive readings. I have 30-minute sessions and hour sessions that I do right now currently. And I also do life coaching. So, depending on where you're at in your life and your spiritual growth and where you want to go, you can always hit me up and we can do an assessment and we can see where, you need some areas of training and healing maybe, and we can take it from there. So that's what I'm working on right now.
Amen. amazing. So do you want to grab some cards so we can get folks a little? This is a real treat, honey, because everybody don't get a card from Berwin Kemp, the prophet.
I have to be in the mood for that. I love that sound.
Me too! Oh my God!
Sometimes I just pull my cards out and just shuffle on my playlist and just go, just to hear the sound.
Just to hear the sound and the cards in my fingers.
And am I the only one? Y'all ever do this when you watch other readers on? You notice how everybody shuffle their cards so differently. Yeah, I'm trying to learn. Like I see some people, they be doing like a triangle, and it be all like,
yes.
Like, how they do that? It's so unique to see how everybody interacts with their cards and the relationship that they have with their cards. So what are we asking for? Just a word of
what they need to hear most. Somebody needs to hear something. I can feel it. What they need to hear most. I feel like this is for something for someone in particular. Like it's going to be specific, and you'll know. Oh, you will know. And no matter when you see this reading, it could be 10 years from now. It's going to be specific for you and on time for you. Because it only exists in theory, honestly. Go ahead.
Ladies first. Okay. Gentlemen.
Higher will. Higher will. I'm feeling like our higher self, right? There's a part of our consciousness that dwells on a higher frequency, that dwells in on another realm, and it's always in contact with what we are doing here on this realm, and it's always guiding us through our intuition, through our gut instincts on which way to go and which way to turn. I'm feeling like the guidance here is to submit more to your higher will. Pay attention to your higher will. If you don't know what that sounds like, sit down and fine tune your instrument so that you know what it sounds like when you're being spoken to from your higher will. I feel like if you don't, you're going to pay for it dearly. I feel like some of us are lost and we don't know which way. We're confused. We don't know which way to go. I feel like start there. Start with just sitting with yourself and exercising your own instrument and figure out what it sounds like when your intuition is speaking to you. I feel like everybody here has a divine design, right? And your higher self knows where you want to go and the best route to get you there. Let me read from the book. We bring you the blessing of higher will. You can hold this card. I got assistance today. There is a great plan of divine love unfolding throughout the universe, and the fulfillment of your divine destiny is included. Sometimes it may seem hard to trust in the higher will, yet if you do, it can bring a feeling of great relief that you don't have to have all the answers or be in control for everything to still work out beautifully in your world. Surrender empowers you to get on with life and trust that all is happening exactly as it should, according to a greater intelligence and love. A greater intelligence and love. So if you can't see clearly, there's a part of you that does see clearly. Your job is to be conscious of what it is seeing and what it is saying and listen and follow along. Be obedient. It wants to decide when something should happen. And the higher plan. No. It wants to decide when something should happen. And how. And with whom. And in what way. It might convince itself that this personal opinion is actually the higher plan. This is your mind. Your mind will try to come in and want to control stuff. Make sense of it. So that it's logical. So that the strategy makes sense. But your higher will, it's beyond reason. It's not going to always make sense. It's not always going to be the most logical thing because you don't have all the information. So it won't make sense to you, but your higher will, this higher being, this higher part of yourself, it is you. It knows, and it does have all the information. And it's not going to explain to you all the time, every single detail in order for you to follow and trust it. You're just going to have to suck it up and trust. This is me putting in my own funk here, my own 2 cents. Okay? The mind can be a great ally on the spiritual path, but it needs to be given reassurance and regular compassion. Compassionate reminders that allow it that although it is powerful, it is not privy to the workings of the entire universe. And I was just saying, you're not always going to be given the play-by-play on why everything is going to happen. You're just going to have to trust that, you know, that you're doing the right thing, that it's going to work out. Nor does it need to be for you to be happy, free, and manifesting your divine destiny. I mean, do you really care? Do you have to know how everything is going to work out so long as you know it's going to work out? I don't have to know. I honestly don't have to know. Just make it nice. This oracle comes to you now because the mysterious working of your higher will. Why am I doing this? The mysterious working of your higher will are at work in your life, and you will find peace and even awe as you relax your mind and choose to trust now. So that is your message, to trust your higher self, trust your intuition, even if you're scared, even if it doesn't make sense. Your job now is to chill and be guided.
Let's chill.
Settle down.
Settle down.
That's what I want to do.
Okay, so the whole time you were doing the energy was flowing heavy. I just felt the anointing all over the place.
Yeah.
And all I kept hearing Spirit say is for the next couple of weeks, and this goes to anyone that's listening to this any day, any time of the month, day, or year. I don't care if it's 10, 20 years from now. Because prophets are sent on assignment. So if you're listening to this, Spirit is saying it's time to surrender. That's all I kept hearing. I kept hearing that song in my head. I surrender all. Where God and Spirit is taking us, surrender is all that He's expecting of us. And surrender it all. The good, the bad, the ugly. Because He could take all parts of us. I heard a story once, the lady talked about how God can use a cracked vessel better than He can a whole vessel. You need those cracks so the light can see through. So even if you feel like you're broken, if you feel like what of my life can be, Spirit is saying today, surrender. It's all in the surrender. And it's in your surrender that God is going to step in and begin to transform things. Everybody that's listening, I feel a transformation coming in the next 3 months. So be sensitive to what you need to surrender. Be sensitive to who you need to get away from and get from around. Be sensitive to the changes that you need to make, but don't beat yourself up about it. Just know that everything is in divine order, and Spirit is definitely saying it's just time to surrender. That's all I got.
Because it can be turned around in an instant.
Turn it out.
Let it go. Loose your hands off of it. Loose me go.
I'm getting to stop.
Loose me.
You know, I'm a Pentecostal intuitive tarot card reader.
Okay.
Wow.
Did you catch all of that? Catch it. Catch it. Okay, so that is your Motivational Monday. I hope you all enjoyed it. I hope you all got some gems and some jewels and something that you can take with you that is going to serve your life well. I know that it will, and it has. Thank you all so much for watching. Please, if any of this resonates with you, be sure to hit the thumbs up, like this video, share it with your friends, and of course, don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. With that being said, we will see you all next week. Keep an eye out for Prophet BK because he is on the way. Bye, y'all.
Bye, y'all.